not sure now. Seen you look at strangers too many times. The love you want is of a different kind. Remember when we felt the sun, a love like paradise, how hot it burned. Threat of distant thunder, the sky was red. And when you want, you always turn every head.
All day,
watch them all fall down.
all day,
Domino dancing.
all day,
Watch them all fall down.
all day, domino dancing.
Thought that when we fought, I was to blame. Now I know you play a different game. I've watched you dance with danger, still wanting more. Add another number to the score.
All day,
Watch them all fall down.
all day,
Domino dancing.
all day,
Watch them all fall down.
all day, domino dancing.
When you look around, you wonder, do you play to win? Or are you just a bad loser? Don't know why, I don't know how. Thought I loved you, but I'm not sure now. I hear the thunder crashing, the sky is dark, and now a storm is breaking within my heart.
All day,
Watch them all fall down.
all day,
Domino dancing.
all day,
Watch them all fall down.
all day, domino dancing. All day,
Watch them all fall down.
all day,
Domino dancing.
all day,
Watch them all fall down.
all day, domino dancing. All day,
Watch them all fall down.
all day,
Domino dancing.
all day,
Watch them all fall down.
all day.
Sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand, it's pointing at your head. You think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in a restaurant in a West End town. Call the police, there's a madman around, running down underground to a dive bar in a West End town. In a West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. In a West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. West End girls. to break the suburban spell. Let's take a ride along with the dogs tonight in is the hour of need. Where's the policeman when you need one to blame the color TV? Let's take a ride along with the dogs tonight in suburbia. You can hide along with the dogs tonight in suburbia, in suburbia, in suburbia. Run with the dogs tonight. You can hide. Run with the dogs tonight. You can hide in another night with open eyes, too late to sleep, too soon to rise. You're short of breath, is it a heart attack? Hot and feverish, you face the fact you're in love, and it feels like shame because she's gonna make a fool of you in public again. You're in love, and it feels like pain because you know there's too much truth in everything she claims. So ask yourself now, can you forgive her if she wants you to? Ask yourself, can you even deliver what she demands of you? You drift into the strangest dreams of youthful follies and changing teams. Admit you're wrong, oh no, not yet. Then you wake up and remember that you can't forget. She's made you some kind of laughing stock because you dance to disco and you don't like rock. She made fun of you and even in bed said she was gonna go and get herself a real man instead. So ask yourself now, can you forgive her if she begs you to? Ask yourself, can you even deliver what she demands of you? Or do you want revenge? But that's childish, so childish. That's childish, so childish. Remember when you were more easily led behind the cricket pavilion and the bicycle shed, trembling as your dreams came true? You looked right into those blue eyes and knew it was love. And now you can pretend you've forgotten all the promises of that first friend. It's bad enough. She knows how you feel, but she's not prepared to share you with a memory. So ask yourself now. Hoping that looking back you could always rely on a find a place where there's so much space and the pace back east, rustling just to please, ready to lead to. We are gonna do. Life is peaceful there, there in the open air, where the skies are blue. This is what we're gonna do. Go west, go west, go west. Sun in winter time, we will feel just fine. Where the skies are blue, this is what we're gonna do. Double cross you, and you get mysterious mail. I tried hard not to shock you. It's hard not to, with the things I could say. Tell me why don't we try not to break our hearts and make it so hard for ourselves? Why don't we try not to break our hearts and make it so hard for ourselves? You lock your letters in a box and you hidden the key. I go on better. I'm indebted to a contact magazine. Tell me why don't we try not to break Heartbeats. Heartbeats. Every time I see you, something happens to me, like a chain reaction. at the Sorbonne, doctored in mathematics, I could have been a don. I can program a computer, choose the perfect time. If you've got the inclination, I have got the crime. There's a lot of opportunities if you know where to take them, you know. There's a lot of opportunities. If there aren't, you can make them. I've got the brains, you've got the looks. Let's make lots of money. Let's make lots of I'm single-minded, I know what I could be. How do you feel about it? Come take a walk with me. I'm looking for a partner, regardless of expense. Think about it seriously, you know it makes sense.